Hey everybody, it's Jeremy. Welcome back to Lucid's 2022 tournament game 4, where we are playing Nazca. This is turn 85, and the war with Pelagia rages. Let's see. So far it's been mostly good. Let's see if that trend continues, or if this is the turn that Pelagia strikes back. Fingers crossed that is not the case. So kicking things off, we actually have Conjuration 9 research. Conjuration 9 complete. So that's pretty cool. We've been working towards that for the last couple turns or so. We're not getting a whole lot of crazy things out of it, but we are getting a couple of little things. Namely, we are getting shit, what's it called? The fucking... Fuck, I can't remember the... It's the horses... That's... Ghost Riders! I wanted to say Ghost Riders, but then I was like, no, they're not ghosts. It wouldn't be called Ghost Riders if they aren't ghosts. It's totally called Ghost Riders. Ghost Riders, right, being a remote spell that can be very useful in raiding kind of your enemies, but also like throwing at enemy provinces that you know there are going to be armies in, right? Like whether those armies are just minor armies that you could potentially throw one or two of these at and defeat, maybe, or cause damage to, or major armies, right, where you can just throw a couple Ghost Riders at to burn gems, or to maybe kind of like kill a little bit of chaff, etc., etc. So Ghost Riders, super duper useful spell. I think the only downside with it is that it is relatively low range and relatively high casting requirements. So level 6 death is not super easy for us to acquire outside of things like liches, right? So we might have to focus in on that type of scenario as we move forward. But still going to be super, or I think super useful. Relatively useful, more likely. And there's a couple of other things that we're getting out of here. Primarily like Tartarian Gate or maybe Legion of Whites, right? In the right type of situations could be useful to us. But everything else is a little here, kind of like situation. So, that was that. We did a bunch of revivals of kings. We got attacked. Or no, sorry, we didn't get attacked. We did get attacked. We attacked with an earth attack. We cast an earth attack. So let's see how this goes. We have a earth elemental going up against, what is this? Oh, I'm lagging up against a Pelagian Mystic. Oh, I'm rendering, that's why I'm lagging. So this should be an easy victory for us, right? And bloop. Yep, absolutely. So, Pelagian Mystic down. That's pretty solid. 130 gold for 3 Earth Gems, I believe, right? Because we're casting Earth Attack with a 40% off tag, basically. So that's pretty nice. And then we get mentally attacked. One of our Rununkas get mentally attacked, but was able to resist the attack, so that's pretty dope. So, we've got remotes for the turn. 1 Earth Attack, or an Earth Attack gets 1 win and 0 losses, and then Mind Hunt gets 1 win and 0 losses. So, oh yeah. Pretty cool. Good ratios there so far. And then we're really going to get into the kind of like meat and potatoes of everything. So, we're just going to go all the way down the list, watching everything as we go. We're not gonna filter between ours and other people's. We're just gonna do the whole thing. Nazca attacking Pelagia in Rid. So we've got a big old line of Long Dead. We've got some. We got a Huron priest behind with a couple of Supaya bodyguards. We have Thula, the Queen of Thunder, here, and we're up against nothing. This is just a single PD. We should be fine. We've got some horrors coming out. That's a thing. False horrors, I guess, technically. So in red, we lose nothing. Easy peasy victory. We get attacked in blue water. Pelagia raiding back against us. a small party of wave warriors, and a couple of mages. Amber Clan, Pelagian Mystic, Pelagian Mystic. So this one has an Earth gem. This one has a Water gem. Something Water power, something Earth power. Okay. And then over here, all we have, no mages, just undead. So this could go really poorly for us if they have a lot of water elementals. But they don't. They have a single water elemental. We're still losing a lot of stuff, right? But nope. Unfortunate. I would also definitely say I don't know. Obviously, at this point, this is the third player for Pelagia, so I don't know what the first and second player have been doing with their time and resources and everything like that. I know the third player because I've played with them in other games and I have spoken to them a fair amount, right? So this isn't to them. This is more towards the other players. I'm very surprised that there's not more like, water bracelets or like fucking like water lenses and things like that for like free gems and increased water power and things like that to be able to do various additional castings or free guaranteed castings of water elementals and things like that. I would imagine that would be something that you invest a lot in as Pelagia. But then again, I guess Pelagia has the ability to convert water into astral, so perhaps that is more of the focus. My only issue with that is we haven't seen any massive like astral things come out from Pelagia, it feels like. So I feel like there's some disconnect. Either way, we lose there. We get attacked in Devil's Pond. We've got a little Shark Tribe guy, no gear, or Shark Knight guy, no gear, and we've got a Mystic with a gem, so probably going to water power and then do a water elemental, and they're up against nothing here, so they're going to win. Okay, we got that. We got Vanarus attacking Vanheim in Vanarus. So, Vanheim has a little stack. Oh, no. Vanheim took... I think this is Vanarus's god being recalled, perhaps? Because Vanheim took Vanarus, right? I believe so. We'll see here in a second. Alright, that seems like a solid victory. I love it when things use Stream of Life to kill. Attacked Vanheim, and let's go to the province. Yeah, so Vanheim has taken Vanarus's capital a while ago. Vanarus still has Monherboa over here. And this is just going to be the god respawning. I'm actually surprised that... Oh, they also have Lyratos still. I'm actually surprised that Vanheim didn't have some guys with like great swords or whatever just standing at the ready here patrolling at the ready here to kill Vanarus's god again, but probably feels like he has other stuff better to be doing. So there's that. We get attacked in Blackport. Okay. We have a Mystic. We have stuff. Okay, so this is an actual army. I think he's just he's just running away. He's just trying to save stuff if at all possible. So Blackport, we kill. Unfortunately, we do not kill the Mystic. That's what we would have preferred to kill. We get attacked in Sea of Woe. This is again probably a Mystic. No, this guy is actually summoning. Oh, yeah, this guy is summoning Water Elemental, and he's gonna win. Yep. Alright, so we lose in Sea of Woe. We get attacked in Sacred Lake. Okay, this is gonna be a big battle. Oh shit. Okay, we bumped. And this was a potentially intended bump. So let's see how things go. What are we up against? We are up against a bunch of flame jellies, a fair number of hippocampuses, a couple of Knights of the Deep. We've got some jelly cubes. We've got some wave warriors, some champions of the closed realm. We've got a pretty massive mage core in here. We can see a lot of mystics coming out. Pearl mages. We've got a Triton King hanging out in here. 2 Triton Kings that I can see. This is a bunch of... He even has some Supayas. Cheeky little devil. Okay. So this is a big deal. This is probably one of our largest engagements, if not our largest engagement so far. What have we committed? Obviously, we have a shit ton of long dead here, so that's a thing. We have a row of huacas. That's kind of cool. We've got some earth elementals to trample around on the side. We have a very large contingent of Supayas. And we have a decent-sized mage core, but I do not think that we are as big as what Pelagia is bringing to the table. We have, I think, a bunch of quickness casters and maybe some water elemental casters, right? We've got individuals to do a bunch of different buffs, things like weapons of sharpness, army of gold, etc., etc. But I think there is... We'll see. Let's just play this out. Just stuff coming out. Okay, so we get some living water casting, a fair amount. Get some quickening, more living water, more living water. I love how the water elementals just get kind of like popped, shunted out, right? Not a whole lot of immediate water elemental summoning coming out from their side. Big communion coming online. That's pretty interesting, right? Pretty interesting. We also have Fine Blessing, Anti-Magic. We have some initial Soul Slays coming out just to make sure that things are happening. We are also Blessing, which is kind of a waste, but, you know, it would be. We have Serpent's Blessing coming out, making sure we don't get got by anything there. Frostfin coming out. We've got Army of Gold out. We've got Ground Army coming out. And here's the play. Here is the combination play that we have. We have Grip of Winter, right? That has come out from this Hydromancer. And then we have Rigor Mortis coming out from this Huron Priest. We also have Shark Attack going on, which is like Underwater Howl. But the general plan now has the die has been cast, right? I think actually, yeah, we also should have Friendly Currents up, or that might be their side of Friendly Current. Regardless, right? So our situation is we have Rigor Mortis and we have Grip of Winter up. If we check, the majority of their units, right, do not have cold resistance. Some of them do, right? Like the fucking cubes do. But the majority of their units do not have cold resistance. And the majority of their units are living. I think... Yes, even the flame jellies do count. I don't think the oozes might actually, the gelatinous cubes might actually count. Yeah. They're magic beings. So all of their stuff is living. If they start summoning a shit ton of water elementals, it's not gonna be, right? But we have a bunch of water elementals on the field. We have a bunch of long dead on the field. And we have a bunch of Supayas that are kind of buffed to shit and back now. So the idea is that if they don't do something quickly, like put up relief or something like that, then they are about to run into a scenario where they're going to fatigue out. We've got a shit ton of Supayas in the backfield now. And with this big-ass communion, right, that they have going on, my hope is that they are going to... We have relief up from our Fairy Queen. They have friendly currents up from their Triton King. The hope is that they are going to fatigue out really, really quick they're going to burn through their communion, and then they're basically just not going to be able to do anything. That is the hope. Now, the other aside is that they do have all of the buffs up as well. They have regeneration, they have protection, or army of gold, right? They have will of the fates, etc., etc. The issue that we're gonna have is can we might fatigue everything out, but can we fucking kill anything? And that's gonna be a big question. So we can see that at least in the front, we have absolutely overrun them. There's little pockets of resistance here or there, but generally speaking, especially in scenarios where Supayas or Huakas or even better, water elementals are involved, things definitely start to die. But there is a big-ass core back here that is still super healthy. But you can see there's very little casting going on. All of the communion has fatigued out, and much of the communion is now taking damage. One of the issues that we have, though, as we can see over here, we've got a Lich who is just witherbonesing to hell and back and is obliterating a crap ton of Supayas. So that's really, really, really unfortunate. Really wish he would kind of like focus on these fucking long dead over here. But I think we've got this in the bag. Especially if we can get that fucking Lich down. That Lich being like the big problem right here. I'm kind of annoyed by whatever is going on here. We have a massive contingent of units that is somewhat focused on trying to kill these guys, rather than moving forward to engage over here. Lich is down. Our water elementals have hit. So water elementals obviously being incredibly useful in the water, but also incredibly useful for us because they're inanimates, right? So they do not get afflicted by all of this fatigue bullshit that we have happening with rigor mortis. Oh, yes. So the damage is now starting to be done. Poor Supayas really don't seem to be doing that much damage. I mean, with the massive protection buffs that some of these people have and the very high magic resistance, because you gotta remember, with Spectral Spear, there's a magic resistance check for half damage. So Supayas might not do the most damage in a lot of situations, especially since these guys have shock resistance. So. But we're doing enough. Looks like the deed is done. That's pretty fantastic. Okay, what is the butcher's bill for this particular fight? Because that took us a very long time. That was Sacred Lake, right? Ooh, those are bad numbers for Pelagia. Holy shit. Okay. 3 to Ducos, lost a Lich. Look, that Lich did fucking work, by the way. So did those gelatinous cubes. Lots of work. Lost 18 Pearl Mages. Oof. 28 Pelagian Mystics. 2 Triton Kings. That is fucking rough. 42 Champions of the Closed Realm. Those are interesting units. 50 Flame Jellies. Couple Knights of the Deep. Bunch of Wave Warriors. Like, utter defeat there. And we lost, at the end of the day, we lost 2 Earth Elementals, 1 Huaka, and 98 Supaya. And that's not 98 Supaya is not an insubstantial number, but the vast majority of our losses were just long dead. Now, we did lose a metric shit ton of long dead. 736 long dead destroyed. But that's what they're fucking there for. This is an overwhelming overwhelming victory. This is a massive fucking victory. This is one of those like, oh, this might not be the end for Pelagia, but this might be a scenario where Pelagia might not be able to come back from this, right? Or not easily come back from this if we keep up the pressure. We also found a Skull Staff, Bloodstone, Clam of Pearls, Robe of the Sea, Great Sword of Sharpness, and an Enchanted Pike. So, fuck yeah, really cool battle, etc., etc. Very nice. That was Sacred Lake. We have a battle in Sailor's Haven between Arco and Ulm. We've got... Ooh, what the fuck? Okay, so we've got a Lich out front. What is he called? Bastard. We got a Lich out front. We've got some Archuzas in the back. We've got a little Hoplite squad that we've seen a fair number of. We've got some crossbows. And specifically, we have Anthrax, the King of Banefires. So what's going to happen here? We've got a horde of skeletons coming out. We've got gifts from heavens coming out, trying to drop on this King of Banefires. Right? He is kitted out pretty fiercely, but if he gets the wrong set of spells used against him, he could absolutely get murdered. If that Lich starts spamming Drain Life, yep, there's the thing. Drain Life. But with Phoenix Pyre up, it might not matter. Ooh. That Gifts from Heaven was clutch. Clutch time. Did they get him? No, he's way in the fucking backfield. And he's being given time to regen. Ooh, he just killed that guy. Dude tried to like suicide with Gifts of Heaven right on top of him. That's pretty funny. Gotta get him before he gets back up. That's it. That is a done diddly King of Banefires. Now that did cost Arco, right? But I think that's a fine fee to have to pay in that situation. I feel like maybe this is not how this went, right? Because so this might be a scenario where we have like the incorrect battle report. Because it says that Arco attacked Ulm but was defeated, but what we just watched was actually Ulm losing. So, I mean, that was really close both ways, right? So depending on where the King of Banefires reformed and what it was allowed to attack, it got pretty close multiple times in what we saw to killing that Lich. So, looks like in reality, it did. Alright, anyways, moving on. We get attacked in Silver World. There also might be a couple of these scenarios where the battle report doesn't quite match. When I report the numbers, by the way, I go based off of what the actual scenario is, not what the battle report says. So I go by what this says, right? Like this report page, rather than the actual battle. So we are attacked in Silver World, but we do kill the Pelagian Mystic that comes at us there. So that's pretty nice. We get attacked we attack in Faraway Sea. Just raiding around. Let's see if we can beat this little group. Oh, this should be fine. Be fine. Yeah, we got it. Okay, Faraway Sea is ours. We attack in Sea of Mermaids. Ooh. Oh, no. Oh, yo! Okay, hold up. Sea of Mermaids. This is actually really interesting. We picked up these 3 Supayas with this Mound King last turn because they got routed from a previous battle. So we picked them up, and obviously we can't bless them, but they're still flying underwater units. So these 2 guys back here summon some water elementals, but right as the water elementals leave, these fucking Supayas show up and they rout them. That's awesome. If we... Yeah, because we totally would have lost to 2 water elementals, right? But the water elementals instantly died because they had no magic leadership. So that's really fucking lucky. Actually, I mean, we still lost a lot in that scenario. And yeah. So, anyways, that's really cool. Taking an Amber Clan mage just because we had 3 Supayas hanging out with a Mound King, pretty nice. Arco attacks Vanheim in Lost Canyon range. Got a little shaman here. He's just gonna cast some protection. Pretty simple, easy. Relatively efficient raiding, I would think, in this particular instance. Pretty cool. Vanheim is gonna attack Arco in Nam. Van has... Okay, it's really fun to watch this Arco and Vanheim player because they are putting on a symposium of how low can we go? How low of a commitment can we have for raiding and counter raiding? Because they are just sending out the bare minimum here or there. 3 Einherr, 2 air gems on an air 2 mage versus... This is like, I don't know, 10 PD? That air elemental will do the trick, though. Alright. Okay. In Nam, Vanheim attacks and wins. We attack in Moonsea. Another little raiding stack. Now I feel like I need to have like 5 Supayas or something like that with every Mound King. You know? Okay, so we win in Moonsea. We get attacked in the Great Blue. Aha. And there's nothing here. We get attacked in the Great Blue. That's gone. We get attacked in Sea of Karassos. Okay, so this is a decently sized army. And this is, I think, just him running from us. He's got some people held here. I don't know. Maybe they're just trying to... Oh. They're probably the weaker ones. Or ones with issues that he was just like, they're not going to make it out anyways. But in point of fact, well, nope. I do think they died. Okay, so Sea of Karassos. 1 Pelagian Mystic goes down. 2 Wave Warriors. That's fine. And then we've got Fortress Battles. So we attack in the Fortress of Sacred Lake. There are 2 Mystics here. This should be a pretty big nothing. Yeah, the Supayas clean up here. So nothing doing. So that was the Fortress of Sacred Lake. We lose 2 Long Deads, get a couple of, or we get a Dukos, not 2 Mystics, but we did get some Lightless Lanterns, so that's nice. Okay, we have a battle in Blackport. There's nothing here. They retreated out previously. Lose 7 Long Deads and a single Sylph. Easy peasy. And then there is a battle in the Sea of Karassos. And there is a single Wave Warrior here. Nothing doing. Okay, so that was a pretty damn good turn for us. We took a lot of land. We actually won a couple of the attacks that Pelagius sent at us, which is always fun, right? Normally in the game, it's a situation of when you're doing this big dance of raiding, counter-raiding, raiding, counter-raiding, you'll oftentimes win where you raid and lose where you get counter-raided, right? Occasionally setting traps, etc., etc. we actually we won a couple of the times where we got intercepted or where we otherwise probably should have lost, and that's really nice because that actually like throws things back into our favor. That being said, this fucking victory in Sacred Lake, that is huge. That is a big deal. In combination with the other victories that we have had, this is potentially this is a massive shift, I think, in Pelagia's combat abilities. They are probably going to have to reconsolidate and give up some territory that we are already kind of like forcing our hand or their hand on. And this might actually be a really big swing for us. So I'm very excited about that. Ultimately, battles for the turn versus... ooh, hold up. Do we have a battle versus someone else? Yeah, we do! We discovered a sneaking enemy in Bara. It was a monster boar. And he's trampling a bunch of Hatan Runa. So we win that. We lose 3 Hatan Runa. No big deal. Cool. Battles for the turn versus Pelagia, 11 wins and 4 losses. Versus Indies, 1 win and 0 losses. So very good turn for us. Very positive. What else do we have going on for the turn? We have some unexpected events in Bara. So this is the Monster Boar. We get Unrest in a Monster Boar event. In Sacred Lake, which we just had that fight at and just took, we have a rebirth event, so increased population and income. In Ermithia, there's a sectarian movement, so a false prophet there. We need to go root them out. In Omia, some magic gems have been found in the prime of the season. We get a bunch of nature gems. That's awesome. And then in Moonsea, a traveling sorcerer was staked by upset peasants. Before his death, he cursed the land and everyone in it. So increased death and some curses. So, okay, cool. Events for the turn, 3 negative and 2 positives. We have Bara Unrest plus 14, Sacred Lake Population plus 200, and Income plus 1. Ermithia Dominion minus 2, Moonsea Death plus 1, and 6 units cursed. And then we get plus 12 nature gems. So that's, you know, I think overall not the worst. The 12 nature gems really kind of like edges it out in our favor, I think. The things that we had happened that were bad weren't really that bad. Just mere annoyances. No. Worldwide event has occurred. The Goat Sun has been summoned into the world. The Goat Sun, I believe, being one of the Demon Lords or the Devil Lords or whatever they are. That's the sun with the goat head and legs and everything like that, I believe. But I could be wrong. We are under siege in Tears of the Pantocrator. We have started to destroy the fort in Moonsea, and we are under siege in the Sea of Woe, but they can't harm us. So, pretty fucking good turn for us. What are we doing this turn? We're gonna ignore again most of this stuff that's going on land, unless there are specific things that I feel like we need to talk about. Most of this is just moving Long Dead to the coast, right? We have a bunch of Long Dead being made in Nephil, in Satrandith, and Nazca, and Mark, etc., and this is just moving more and more of that to the front. We are also moving... No, not what I thought. It might be next turn. We might be moving more forces over towards the front for more conflicting battles. So, let's talk about actual maneuvers in the battle, or in the war, right? We won a massive victory in Sacred Lake. That's a big deal. We previously won some pretty decent fights in a couple of number of places, right? We have a pretty good vision range on what's happening across the board. And we can see up in Pelagia, etc., in the actual Pelagia homeland, there are enough forces to oppose us, but they're a little spread out, right? And then down in the Oceania scenario, there is actually a pretty large army. Okay. And then in Yis, there's a kind of like set of smaller forces, right? So what I am ascertaining is that Pelagia does have some forces to still oppose us. This is not just a roll, right? But those forces are somewhat spread out. My assumption is that now Pelagia is going to bring forces down from Yes into the Oceania area and try to project power in this location. Okay? And that they will probably avoid fighting in the Pelagia area until they can consolidate forces and maybe beef them up a little bit, right? So, noting that, we are going to try, I think, 3 main tactics. And all of those tactics are in relation, or I say, they're all the same tactic. We're going to target 3 main points, right? All with the same tactic. And that tactic is letting Pelagia play for time, right? Because the alternative is we could be like, okay, Pelagia just got smashed. Let's target every other army that we see and try to smash it as soon as possible as well, right? So that would mean going for Yis immediately this turn with all of the stuff that we have in Sacred Lake, right? That would mean going for Emerald Lake with all of the stuff that we have at Sea of Carasso, etc., etc. We're going to take the alternative here, right? And I don't know that this is a good plan, obviously, right? But what we are going to do is we are going to not aggress at Pelagia's armies and instead try to take more infrastructure. This is going to give Pelagia the time to consolidate, which could be a big problem for us. But it is also potentially going to give us the opportunity to take a lot of infrastructure from Pelagia very quickly with minimal losses, right? Which is going to allow us to ferry in even more undead, make even more rings of water breathing, all etc., etc., so that when these upcoming big fights happen, right, we are even more prepared than we are currently. So the concept being is that rather than try to force something in something like Yes, right, we're going to take Harbor of Copper, right? We're going to move most of our big stack there, and we're also going to hit Dry Fields, right? We're going to move pretty large amounts there, with the idea that they're not going to be able, or not only are they not going to be able to defend these locations, right? Because there's nothing really in Narion Sea. There is stuff in Yes, but they probably won't want to come at us. They'll probably want to go down and consolidate, right? So the plan is take these outlying portions that are kind of out of their reach and gain more out of it, right? We're also going to knock them off of things like Sea of Woe. And so that's the Yessian Pelagian space. We have the Blackport area. We're going to immediately consolidate in Dispris and head there with a huge stack. Again, the idea being that we're betting that Pelagia doesn't have enough. They can throw tricks at us, right? But not enough, I think, to stop us from just going here, crack, take. Here, crack, take. Right? Done and done. And we're going to do the same in Hippocampus's Fortune with the stack from Sea of Carassos, right? Because we're moving away from, this is the one big like PowerPoint that I think we've seen with Pelagia is here at Emerald Lake. Like, this can still fight us, absolutely. This is, I think, where most of their Knights of the Deep are. So that is actually very scary. They can really fuck us up. But so we're moving to Hippocampus's Fortune, and probably going to crack it in a single turn, right? 450 siege strength. There's 150 wall integrity here, right? So we go for the concept of crack this, take this, crack this, take this immediately, crack this, take this immediately, crack this, take this immediately. Over in Moonsea, we have a little bit of siege going on. This will probably get knocked off, but we're still just going to see. The big question mark is we are going to throw a fair amount at Whirling Sea. So 80, 160, 240, 320, plus the 60 or so Supayas, which is going to be another 120. So we should be able to crack this fort easily. It's just a matter of, is he going to still be in Emerald Lake? Will he anticipate and move into Whirling Sea? Will he move away from Emerald Lake down to like Oceania? Will he come attack us at Sea of Karassos, right? Because if he moves away from Whirling Sea, we're going to be able to take that back in a single turn very easily. If he moves up, right, to consolidate with Yis, then this is probably going to get, we're probably going to have to move it out, or it'll get popped, etc., etc. But this is mostly throwaway stuff. So the tactic that we are going to employ here is rather than run at any remaining armies, we want to try to just strangle him, right? We already have multiple raiding parties kind of like in the backfield, okay? We're already doing damage to his economy because of the various positions that we've already taken, the places that we're holding down, the places that we're raiding in the backfield, etc., etc. Our income has already gone up drastically compared to what we had previously, so that's awesome. Now we're just hitting as many locations as we can and taking them over the course of the next 2 or 3 turns. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 forts should be cracked next turn, right? I think pretty reliably, right? The only big one I think as a question is Whirling Sea. I don't think any of the others are really in question. I think we're absolutely going to get Hippocampus's Fortune. I think we're absolutely going to get Dyspris. Absolutely think we're going to get Harbor of Copper, and the Dryfield, right? Whirling Sea, if he moves in a pattern that is kind of unanticipated, might be a different situation. But yeah. So that's the kind of idea is to let Pelagia maneuver into the positions that they want, not force battle, but continue to take a shit ton of infrastructure from him as rapidly as we can, while also continuing to move more undead to the front, and move more, or create more opportunities for us to put non-undead units underwater. So let's talk about some of that other stuff, okay? We have recruitment for the turn. Recruitment for the turn, we have 2 Akla, 1 Lizard Shaman, 2 Huron Priests, 1 Koya, and 5 Sun Guard. So, again, we're continuing to be able to actually recruit mages. Not a huge amount, right? Like, obviously, we're not recruiting mages in every single fort that we have. I would assume that our mage corps are still significantly smaller than the people that we are going up against. I mean, we can see in Sacred Lake, for example, right? This is 30, 48, 51, 52 mages-ish, right? Versus, what were we in Sacred Lake? We had, no, I guess we had, no, we did not. We absolutely did not. We had 19, 20, 21, 22 mages, it looks like. So our mage corps are significantly smaller in a lot of these engagements. And I think that that's going to be the case for the rest of the game, even if we conquer all of Pelagia. We go up against, like, Arco or Vanheim or even Ulm, right? Like, they're going to have much higher mage corps because they probably have much higher base income due to growth than we do, right? So that is that's an issue, but this is somewhat alleviating it, which is very, 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 very helpful. Nazca recruits for the turn. 270 long dead warriors. My God, that's a big deal. Like, we lost about 800 Long Dead Warriors this turn in a massive battle that probably swung this war our way. All of those Long Dead will be back in 3 turns, right? So, like, that is massive for us. That is absolutely huge. We also have 16 recalled Supayas. We have 2 summoned Supayas for another 14 Supayas for a total of 30 Supayas this turn, which is pretty awesome. And then we have another 1 summon Huaka for 7 more Huakas. I feel like we're pretty online. This is not the perfect situation, obviously, right? I think if we had a good game from the very beginning and a different build, obviously, right? Because again, this build was designed with the concept that we're gonna die in the first 20 turns of the game. Let's try to get as much as we can out of it. If we had a scaling build, and we had done well from the beginning of the game, then obviously we would be in a incredibly different position right now. But for what we had and the position that we're in, what we had happen, I'm actually really, really happy with what we're doing with the amount that we're summoning and recalling per turn, the amount of Long Dead that we're pulling out per turn. This is pretty good. Pretty happy with things. So there's that. What else do we have going on? We have special recruits as per normal, right? We have our dire wolves, and we have our dustwalkers. So 1 dire wolf this turn, 1 dustwalker this turn. Nothing else. All of our other special summoners are actually out doing stuff at the moment. And then we have rituals for the turn. We have 4 revive kings and 2 earth attack. So we've been kind of fiddle-faddling around with some various ideas. The Revived Kings are nothing special or new or anything like that. You know what we're doing there. We just need a lot of undead leadership to ferry around a lot of our troops. I think we're starting to slow on that, right? I want to start moving towards other ideas like putting out liches and things like that. That kind of concept. And we need to start putting up our Amulet of the Dead, or restarting our Amulet of the Dead kind of industry as well. So probably won't be doing that many Revived Kings as we move forward, unless we just need suddenly a large quantity of them. But still very useful, still very cheap considering what we're getting for the concept. And then the other 2 are 2 earth attacks, right? So we've been doing, I think we've been doing, maybe we just did, our earth attack on our Frostfather, right? And we have now kitted out a Huron Priest to be able to do earth attacks. This is a little dicey, but I think we're safe. I would say it's a little dicey because sometimes it can, casting things like remote spells at enemies can get you domed. But most of the domes that we would have to worry about underwater don't work, right? So I think we're okay. We do have some built-in cold resistance. Probably we should have more cold resistance on this person. Because I think we could get frost domed. I don't remember. What is it? Frost dome, yeah. Yeah, so we could get frost domed. That's a possibility. So that's probably something that we need to be careful of. So we are being a little risky here with this Ring of Wizardry, but the idea being is that we can earth attack very cheaply, and I'm actually a very big fan of remote spells like earth attack, like manifestation, etc., etc. I think they are very cost-effective ways, generally speaking, to fuck with your enemy's plans, and even if you don't always get good results, generally speaking, it is highly annoying to, as a player, open up your fucking log for the turn and be like, oh, there were 6 mind hunts. 4 of my people survived, but 2 of them didn't. And that'll weigh on your mind, right? You're like, okay, well, what am I going to do? I need to make sure that this person can't get mind hunted. How do I deal with this? Is there something that I can do to try to, like, figure everything out. Oh, we got Earth attacked 3 times. Oh, we got manifestationed a few times, right? Like that type of stuff, like fucking arrows, right? Like seeking arrows, those types of things. They, even if they are not always successful, they implant into your opponent's mind this idea of like, I've got to worry about that, and it's stress. It's frustrating and stressful, right? Even when you're successful, I saw this and I was like, God damn it, you know, because I'm like, nope, damn it. Anyways, so we're going to be doing more Earth attacks. We might be trying to prep to do even more Earth attacks. I do think Earth attack is a very useful remote for us. Even potentially against other targets, right? Unfortunately, it's not super easy for us to cast, right? Like, Earth 5 is not super easy for us to cast. We could look into making some Troll Kings, and then Troll Kings can do it very easily with Earth Boots and Bloodstones. But that's a pretty hefty investment just to be able to toss ranged Earth Elementals at an enemy. And that's a very kind of like long-term concept. So we'll see. I'm not sure if that's something that we're really going to focus on or invest in, right? Ultimate Gateway savings for the turn. We save 4 Earth this turn because we're doing multiple Earth attacks. We're saving 6 Astral and we're saving 8 Death this turn. So pretty cool. Ultimate Gateway has made us hundreds of gems at this point, right? Absolutely hundreds of gems. Not like too many hundreds of gems. I think we're in the like 200 plus range at this point. I haven't gone and totaled them up, but the big ticket items, obviously, right, have kind of shunted us up. But getting 14 every single turn off of Astral and Death is really nice, right? Like, that's a very, very big boon for us. And then forging for the turn, we're doing 1 Lightless Lantern, 2 Amulets of the Dead, 1 Cornucopia, and 1 Earth Boots. So, kind of, I think we talked about this last turn. We're kind of restarting our Lightless Lantern production. That's why I am summoning or recruiting Aklas, right? Is trying to get a little bit more. We want to try to get to that 200 or 2,000 research mark. To try to get closer to the finishing things by turn 100. I don't think we'll get there, but there's still a couple of very useful things that we could use, namely things in blood, right? Like actually going down and getting some vampires, but also things like Rush of Strength, Life for Life, etc., etc. We could even do things like Send Horror, right? Potentially later on, that could be a big deal for us, right? But other things as well, right? In Thaumaturgy, we have options like Enslaved Mind, obviously being a very big one, Wither Bones being very useful in the right situations. We could go down to getting Charm. That's pretty useful for us in a lot of scenarios. We could, if we have good victory against Pelagia and we get a lot of water, we could try to do something like a big Vengeful Water cast, right? Other things that I think are super duper important, obviously we have the quintessential Master and Slave play that we could try to make towards the end of the game. But I think potentially even more useful is Stygian Paths, right? So this is going to be, again, we have a very high death income. We're probably going to roll into Liches here in a short amount of time. Very easy for us to get up to Death 5. Stygian Paths goes very, very far. Will allow us to kind of like throw armies of Supayas and Long Dead, right? Because Liches can lead a lot of dead units. Will allow us to throw pretty big armies at places that are pretty far away, which will help us defend against Vanheim doing a throne rush if that becomes a thing. Or not just a throne rush, just like actually taking thrones, because they're getting to that point to where it's not going to be a rush anymore. Etc., etc., right? So I think Stygian Paths is probably a really, really big plan for us. That's actually why we're finishing up Construction 7 and running up Thaumaturgy. Construction 7, we're specifically finishing for Weapons of Sharpness. So I said earlier that we might be casting Weapons of Sharpness We don't have it yet. I meant that we're intending on casting in the future. Weapons of Sharpness being super duper useful for us. And actually not super hard. It's Earth 5 is pretty easy for us to get to in combat. It's more difficult for us to get to out of combat. So yeah. That's the generalized plan right now. So lightless lanterns going towards that concept. We got a bunch of Malqui priests over the last couple turns of fighting against Pelagia. We have actually lost Huron priest here or there. They're doing a lot more long dead reanimating for us, which is great, but they don't all have amulets of the dead, so we're going to be producing those until everyone's filled out. Hoping to hit that 300 mark for a long dead produced every turn pretty shortly, so that will be exciting. Cornucopia, because we want to try to transition into more utilization of temporary gem items, because in the future we're gonna have these scenarios where we can't put 20 gems on every single mage in an army. We're gonna need those individuals to be able to what's the word I'm looking for? Have replenishable gems, right? One of the things that I really want, and I'm actually begging, I'm so hopeful that we get more fire income out of Pelagian conquered territory, is I really want to do for a future kind of concept. I really want to do fire in a jar, right? We put someone on put a dwarven hammer on someone, and we start making these for 3 gems every freaking turn. Fire in a jar. Cool. Great. Fantastic. What this allows is, if we go, and obviously we're going thaumaturgy first, but after that, we might run up evocation, and if we get to evocation 8, Pillar of Fire is one of the best spells, one of the best killing spells in the game. It does a shit ton of damage. It is armor piercing, and it'll fuck you up. It's got massive range, right? We have a shit ton of Fire 1 Aklas, right? If we put a Fire in a Jar on them, they can use that 1 gem to Phoenix power, and then they can just spam Pillars of Fire, right? And that's really effective. You have 30 Aklas that all have fires in a jar and can replenish that every single turn. That's very deadly. So that's something that we definitely want to get towards. Unfortunately, our fire gem income is just garbage right now. It has been garbage the whole fucking game. We desperately need to get more fire gems out of the Pelagian territory. If we can't, that's not going to be a strategy that we're going to be able to do, which is really unfortunate, because eventually we're going to want to transition these Aklas into something that isn't research. But without replenishable gems, it's extremely difficult to do that, right? The alternative is that if they're in a big battle, you could do, because they're Air 1, you could do Summon Storm Power, they become Air 2, and then you can Lightning Bolt. But Lightning Bolt is a pale fucking comparison to something like Pillar of Fire in the late game, right? So, we'll see how that all turns out. After the big battle that we had in Sacred Lake this turn, I am pretty optimistic about our chances against Pelagia. I felt that we've been doing good, right, with a couple of hiccups here or there. But that battle, I think, that's a big deal. That I think is probably a third of their combat potential, maybe less. Maybe this is like a quarter of their combat potential. But to lose a quarter of your combat potential on a single turn for basically nothing, right? We do not care about these long dead at all. And the Supayas, kind of whatever, right? That's what they're there for, right? They are there to fly in the backfield and do some work, you know? But they're also there to die. And we lost a third of them, but that's a third of the Supayas in this army, not a third of our Supayas. That's a big fucking deal. So really excited about how this turned out. We'll see how things go in the next turn. I think the next turn or two are probably going to be far calmer as far as battles go for us, right? So we'll see. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye, everybody.
Hey everybody, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, consider leaving a like, commenting, or subscribing. It really helps me out. If you'd like to see me live, head over to my Twitch at twitch.tv/thedistanthorizon.